Every era has a myth of the seer, the one who hears what isn't spoken, the one who senses what is hidden, the one who knows before the message arrives. Sometimes the world calls them prophets, sometimes mystics, sometimes mad. But the archetype always returns, because it's not only about a person. It's about a possibility inside the human being. That reality is not just matter, it's information. And consciousness might be the way we touch that information. Here's the esoteric truth: your intuition isn't random, it's not a glitch. It's the soul's early warning system, a quiet language beneath the loud world. And many teachings say, when humanity is under pressure, new faculties awaken, not as magic, as adaptation. We are a species obsessed with the external upgrade. We wait for the next device, the faster processor, the sharper screen. But the ancient mystery schools whispered a different truth. They believed our next great leap in evolution won't be technological. It will be biological. It won't be a new tool. It will be a new sense. Across every era and every culture, the figure of the seer stands apart. But listen closely. The seer is not special because they possess power. They are special because they possess attunement, telepathy, precognition, psychokinesis. For centuries, we dismissed these as folklore or fantasy. But what if they are simply forgotten functions? What if the brain is not a generator of consciousness, as material science suggests, but a receiver of it? An antenna capable of tuning into frequencies that exist right behind the veil of your 5 physical senses. By the end of this video, you will understand why everyone from Himalayan sages to classified government programs has treated the human mind not as a vessel, but as a technology. And before you leave, I will give you the keys to a simple practice, a method to stop transmitting noise, and finally start tuning your inner signal. History is paved with the stories of those who refused to be bound by the clock. The prophets, the oracles, the seers. Figures like Nostradamus are often dismissed as eccentrics or hailed as magicians. But whether you view prophecy as literal prediction or symbolic poetry, these figures represent a persistent, nagging truth that humanity cannot shake. The belief that reality is far larger than the box built by our 5 senses. To the materialist, time is a straight arrow. It flies from the past, passes through the present, and vanishes into the future. But the mystic sees time differently. Think of consciousness not as a traveler on a road, but as the owner of a vast estate. The past is simply a room you have walked out of. The future is a room you have not yet entered. Just because you are in the kitchen, it does not mean the bedroom ceases to exist. It is simply elsewhere. The seer is simply the one who knows how to unlock the doors. We all have a dormant version of this key. We call it intuition. We treat intuition like a lucky guess. But in the esoteric tradition, intuition is recognized as the soul's early warning system. It is the ability to hear the footsteps in the next room before the door even opens. It is easy to leave these ideas in the realm of incense in ancient temples. But here is where the story shifts. This wasn't just explored by mystics in caves. It was explored by intelligence agencies in windowless rooms. For decades, the US government, the most pragmatic, skeptical machine on Earth, invested millions of dollars into a program known as Project Stargate. Their goal? To weaponize the mind. They weren't looking for enlightenment. They were looking for data. They recruited individuals to use remote viewing, a sterile military term for what the ancients simply called the sight. The results? Complicated. Skeptics will say the program failed. Believers will say it was too accurate to release. But the debate misses the point. Whether you see these programs as proof, curiosity, or desperation, what matters is this. The question was considered serious enough to study. If the powers that be were willing to bet on the possibility that your mind can travel beyond your body, maybe you should be willing to bet on it too. Because unlike them, we aren't trying to spy on the enemy. We are trying to find ourselves. So if the government was looking and the mystics were finding, what exactly were they tapping into? Imagine for a moment that consciousness is like Wi-Fi. The signal is everywhere. It permeates this room, these walls, your very body. But you can only access the internet if you have a device, and if that device is connected to the network. The materialist view says your brain creates consciousness the way a generator creates electricity. The esoteric view says your brain processes consciousness the way a radio plays music. The music isn't in the radio. The radio is just the instrument catching the wave. Thousands of years ago, mystery schools called this the Akasha, a universal memory where every thought, emotion, and event is recorded. Today, quantum theorists and consciousness researchers speak of information fields. Different words, same architecture, Researchers have tried to simulate this connection in the lab using something called the Ganzfeld effect. By drowning out the physical senses with red light and white noise, they found that the mind, starved of external distraction, begins to reach out. It begins to hallucinate. Or perhaps it begins to receive. The signal is always there. The problem isn't the broadcast. The problem is that our internal static is too loud. But here is the warning. If you are watching this because you want to read minds at a party or predict the lottery numbers, you are missing the point. The goal of the seer is not performance. It is presence. The ancient schools didn't train initiates in these arts so they could become magicians. They trained them so they could become whole. The real power isn't in bending spoons. It is in what we call coherence. Let's reframe the supernatural into the natural. Telepathy is not an invasion of privacy. At its core, it is resonance. It is the ability to drop your own ego long enough to feel the emotional truth of another person so deeply that their thought becomes your thought. Precognition is not fortune-telling. It is sensitivity. It is being so attuned to the rhythm of the present moment that you can feel the next beat before it drops. And psychokinesis? The spiritual master knows a higher truth. Your nervous system is the most powerful field generator in the room. When you enter a space in a state of total peace, you change the room. You shift the physical atmosphere simply by being. This is the true evolution. Not gaining power over the world, but finding harmony with it. To do that, we must stop projecting and start receiving. Theory is just the map. Practice is the territory. You don't need a cave in the Himalayas. You just need 2 minutes to calibrate the instrument. Put your phone down. Sit upright. Let's tune the signal. Step 1, the reset. Inhale through the nose for 4 counts. Pause 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the top for 2. Pause 1, 2, and exhale slowly out the mouth for 6. Pause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feel the nervous system shift from defense to safety. Step 2, the generator. Drop your attention into the center of your chest. Don't think about your heart. Feel it. If there is anxiety, acknowledge it. If there is peace, acknowledge it. Just inhabit the space. Step 3, the transmission. Bring to mind someone you trust deeply. Silently send them one single word. Peace, courage, clarity. Imagine that word traveling from your heart directly to theirs. No effort, just intention. Step 4, the receiver. Now stop sending. Let go of the image. Become empty. Imagine you are a satellite dish turned toward the sky. Don't try to hear anything. Just listen to the silence. Notice any image, color, or word that drifts into the vacuum. Step 5, the record. Open your eyes. Grab a pen. Write down the very first thing that came to you, even if it makes no sense. The language of the soul is subtle. We learn it by writing it down. We are told the future is artificial, that we are destined to merge with silicon. But looking at the evidence, I believe the prophets were right. If humanity is evolving, it may not be into metal and machines, but into memory, into presence, into a consciousness that can finally hear itself. Now, let's cross a bridge that makes people uncomfortable. Because this topic didn't stay only in temples and folklore. The US government declassified documents connected to remote viewing, a practice described as trying to obtain information about distant targets under controlled conditions. And in 1995, an evaluation of the program was commissioned, reviewing what had been done and whether it had value. Important, people debate what it means. Some argue the evidence is not sufficient or not reliably operational. Others argue there were statistically unusual results, but still difficult to convert into consistent real-world use. In mystical language, they called it the Akashic Record, the memory field, the invisible library. In modern language, you could call it an information field, a vast ocean of patterns, and your nervous system, your heart, your mind might function like a receiver. But here's what most people miss. If your mind is an antenna, then fear is interference. Trauma is distortion. Overthinking is static. So the awakened path isn't get powers, it's remove noise. Because the more coherent you become, the clearer the signal becomes. And that's why many people suddenly get stronger intuition when they meditate, spend time in nature, cleanse their habits, reduce chaos, and become emotionally honest. It's not superstition, it's calibration. So I'm not asking you to believe. I'm asking you to notice something simpler. A question was taken seriously enough to investigate, and that question is this: can the mind access information without the usual sensory channels? To answer this question, we must understand what is telepathy, precognition, and psychokinesis. So, let's decode this 3 words people throw around. 1. Telepathy. At its most spiritual level, telepathy is not reading thoughts. It's resonance. You've felt it before. You walk into a room and feel tension before anyone speaks. You feel someone's sadness behind their smile. That's the seed. 2. Precognition. Precognition doesn't have to be seeing the future like a movie. It can be pattern sight. When your consciousness is quiet, it notices subtle convergences, the way energy is leaning, the way choices are shaping consequences. 3. Psychokinesis. This is the most sensational word, and the most misunderstood. In a grounded spiritual sense, it begins with influence. Your presence affects environments. Your nervous system impacts others. Your coherence becomes a force. You don't need to move an object to move a room. A peaceful person can change a whole household. That's spiritual power. Now, I want to hear from the field. Have you ever felt a message before it arrived? A phone call you knew was coming? A danger you sensed before you saw it? Leave a comment below. Your story helps validate the signal for everyone else reading. If you want to go deeper, subscribe and hit the bell. In the next episode, we are going to dismantle the pineal gland trends and look at the hidden science of intuition. Until then, remember, you're not broken. You're tuning in, you are remembering, and the signal is getting clearer. Until next time, Universal Consciousness signing out.